Hi everybody, this is Elizabeth, and I'm back again with another movie review. This one was a lot different than what I'm used to, and if you know me, I really enjoy foreign film, and I have for a long time, because I like to expose myself to different cultures, and it's just a completely different perspective than, say, your typical American film. And this is no different, and actually very insightful, I thought. And this one was called My Love Affair with Marriage. And it's written by a woman who grew up in Soviet Latvia. And it's a totally different culture. This was when the communist bloc was still a thing, and before the Soviet Union collapsed. And I didn't have an idea at all. I mean, I knew from reading history books just how horrible it was, but as a woman living in the Soviet Union or in that area, it was really quite dangerous. And Zelma, the main character who's writing the story, and actually she animated it, so it's her perspective. She has all these societal expectations and the expectations of the Marxist decree on her life. So I think Americans should watch this too. And I'm not going to get into politics or anything like that, but it was very revealing and very insightful, as well as just so fascinating, I thought. And I also love the fact that she uses neurobiology to explain a lot of the things that are happening to her as she grows up. And she has all these expectations of herself, and when she's young, she's expected to be, polite and not fight back and submit. And there were a lot of things I thought really rang true for myself, and I thought, oh yeah, it hit hard. But she felt like, well, marriage is going to save me, having children is going to save me. And she discovered over her time in being married that marriage really didn't save her. She fell for an older man, and she thought, well, his status and his talent will save me, that kind of mindset. And it doesn't work that way. And I thought, oh, Zelma, you're so naive, but you're an opportunist because you feel like, oh, this would relieve me of being so downtrodden, and maybe I'll be seen as a good citizen. And then you get to see what a socialist or communist marriage really consists of, and it's totally different than what we have here in America. But it's so interesting, I felt. And the movie's really good, but it's definitely not for kids. And you get to see her life in a combination with a little bit of neuroscience and biology. And I actually, being a person who loves the brain and how chemicals work in the mind, I was so dazzled by that. That was my absolute favorite part. I love the brain. And it's one of those things that even neuroscientists don't entirely understand. It's just the tip of the iceberg. But nonetheless, I just absolutely love the mind and how it works, or how we perceive that it works. And I caution parents who are watching this and thinking that it's animated, that naturally it's for children. I wouldn't say this is for kids, but if your kids are mature enough to understand all the different themes that are underlying this film, then watch it, because it's very interesting. It's very unique. It's different than any other movie I've ever seen, and it really depicts that struggle extremely well, as far as expectations versus reality, And then that whole Soviet mindset, which I love because, I have a lot of Russian friends. I'm like, yeah, that's the way you guys think. It's totally you. And I mean, I really, I admire Russian people. I do. I honestly do. Totally different culture, far different perspective of life. And they're strong. They will suffer a lot. But as far as the movie is concerned, I would give it a near perfect, actually. But it's there were moments that I felt like I can really relate with her, but there were other moments I thought, well, you can just get out. I mean, you don't have to conform, but she had to, just given the fact that it was expected, and men had so much more freedom, especially in communist Latvia. And she moved around. She had a lot of different opportunities in her life being an artist. So I could relate to that too. But it just makes me that much happier being American. I mean, not to sound like, we're better than they are, but with our freedoms, I like to think that America is better than all those other countries. But so far as my love affair with marriage is concerned, I would give it an 8.5 out of 10. It's nearly perfect. I mean, there were moments that were a little bit uncomfortable for me to watch, just because you had to see her suffer, and you only want the best for her. And with Part D, it's more of Lady of the Tiger. And as a viewer, you're led to believe, well, now it's up to her, and you never get to see what she does or what's next for her. But I'd like to think that she lived a very happy life without that constant pressure. The voices in her head, the sirens, how that was depicted. That was very unique. I thought that was very well done, very creative, and it's a very different kind of film. And I like the absurdism in it. The absurdism is something I really enjoy, because I'm a fan of all things absurd. So I like surrealism. I have ever since I was a young girl, and just something I've always been drawn to. It just had that kind of feel. I thought, oh, this kind of reminds me of Plimpton's work, except it was a combination of, you have the animation, and then you've got some 3D objects that she used to depict when she was kind of awakened to who she really was, and seeing her own people. Just she noticed when, later, I'm not going to say what happens, but she notices how the color of their skin is different from others. And I thought, she didn't notice that before. It was just, she was so used to it, so she didn't think it was anything unusual. I thought, isn't that just so true when you're brought out of your comfort zone, and then you realize, maybe I was wrong. And then being wrong is not such a bad thing. And I thought, failure just leads to success. And in her case, I believe it did, even though, you're kind of led to believe that it did for her. And I'm happy, because there would be no film if that weren't the case. But I really enjoyed this one, but this is most definitely not for kids, because there is language. Violence is only spoken of. You hear of what she went through, or what women would go through in communist Latvia, and everything changed. Everything changed over time. But I really enjoyed it. If you want something a little bit out of the ordinary, and speaking of creativity, especially women's liberation, and just adding on to that the fascinating way that she uses neurobiology and neuroscience, and I really like that. I just thought, oh, that's so unique and creative and innovative, and very just insightful and deep and profound, and also kind of comical if you think about it. It's all based on chemicals, and you think, well, We are very multifaceted beings, we humans, but yeah, it was just really, really well done, and I really, really liked it, so definitely worthwhile to see. And I like the animation and her her English, the part with when she was speaking of, I should have learned better English, and I thought I should have learned better French, you know. I learned it in my sleep. For me it was more, I learned conversational French. I have no friends to help me speak it properly. So my fluency is, yeah, not so great. But when it comes to Spanish, yeah, I'm good. But it's when I'm speaking it, it's like any other non-native, if you know what I'm talking about. It's different because I speak it well. It's just I'm very slow. So if I speak to you in Spanish or probably Italian, it'll probably be much slower than a native speaker, but I will understand you. I will understand you. That's the thing. And I mean, it's just something you have to ingrain in you. But like I said, My Love Affair of Marriage is a great movie. It really is. It's a little bit hard at times, a little bit uncomfortable, but I think for all of us, especially those of us who want that in our lives, and I do, I still do. I'm listening to a number of different things. I've listened to Abraham Hicks. I've done this quantum jumping thing. And still doing it. But I just listened to something that hit me hard. And it was the acceptance of being content without having said thing in one's life. And I thought, that is a little bit more of a challenge, but I've been 3 years without, anything. Yeah, I'm in a nice place. I'm in a comfortable living arrangement. Things aren't bad. There are worse things than to actually be locked into something that just feels like misery, which I was. I honestly was. I was involved. I was in a relationship 3 years ago, and it was just purely physical, and I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for something more. And I know there are a lot of you out there who feel similarly to me, and if it happens, it happens. I've come to the conclusion. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And it's not going to make or break me one way or another. I'm like Zelma. With that one scene near the very end of the film, I thought, yeah. It was like confirmation. That was a huge confirmation for me. And I'm actually not so terrified of not having it in my life. Yeah, it may not be what I wanted initially, but whatever happens, happens. And I know who has my back, and sorry to get all focused on my faith, but faith is one thing that's carried me through a lot of hard times. Have kept me afloat, and so have my friends. So I'm unashamed of that. And I think her ability, Zalma's ability to just differentiate and keep the voices silent and just be authentic, be herself, go with the flow. There's wisdom in that, and I wish I had known that earlier. I wish I had known that when I was younger, but better late than never, I think. So I'm happy where I am, to be honest. And this film, I think I should recommend it to everybody. I think everybody should watch it, especially singles, especially those amongst us who just feel like, well, this should have happened. Well, maybe I know this sounds kind of mean, but maybe there's a reason. And I know it's hard sometimes, and I know it's challenging, but you just have to have peace. And I think there is, I really do believe there is a peace that comes with the knowing in some things just don't happen. So, I mean, maybe it's not for all of us, but I think that after all this time, after just struggling with this for years, I've decided to just be me and not worry and just let it go. I mean, I've tossed and turned and wrestled with this far too long. So, whatever happens, happens. Que sera, sera, as they say. And that's the ultimate lesson I learned from the film, to be honest. So I'm glad I learned it now. But sky's the limit. So until next time, catch you on the flip side. Live long, prosper. Ciao, tutti.